Hi pen friends, this is Sarah. Today I'm going to be talking to you about my favorite pen brand that's currently available, Stipula, and my favorite model of their pens. But first I'd like to introduce you to a new member of our family. This is Clovis. He's a parrotlet, and we love having him here with us. We just got him in January, and he's doing really well. So now we have our bunny Como Rebby and our parrotlet Clovis. Isn't he a cutie? Alright, let's get to the pens. Okay, so here we are with the pens. I got a comment from a viewer called Crimson626 who said, "What's your experience on Stipula Etruria Faceted Models? Are they any good? Any issues with this pen company? I'm looking to get one, just want to know if there are any issues with their pens." So I thought I would make this video in response to those questions because Stipula is my favorite pen brand that is currently available, and I put in that caveat because maybe Omas is my favorite fountain pen brand, but they're not being produced anymore. And so I love Stipula. Stipula and Omas are very similar in my mind. They're both Italian pen companies. They both use really beautiful celluloids to make their pens. And so these are a number of different models of Stipula pens that I have, and these two here are the Stipula Etruria Faceted models, and these ones over here are all, I think, the more commonly known Etrurias, which are rounded instead of having these facets. And then I have a few lesser known models. This is the Isola, this is the Suprema, and this is the Iris. This one doesn't even fit in this box, it's so big. But for comparison to a really well-known pen, this is the Lamy Safari, and for size comparison, there it is. So, you know, these pens are, I guess they're considered oversized pens, a lot of them, the Etrurias, but they're not that much different in size from the Safari. It's pretty close there. I'll show you the pen uncapped. So yeah, when it's actually unposted, the Safari is a little bit longer, and if I post them, the Safari is just a little bit longer, but if you put the end of the nib together, they're like the same length. Sorry, might not have it in the camera there, but see, that's like exactly the same length. But this is kind of the standard Etruria size, and then they have a line called the Etruria Rainbow, and it comes in like every different color of the rainbow. I have the purple, and those ones are a little bit longer than what I think the standard size is. They're I have a lot of information to tell you. I don't know if it's all going to be organized, but I just wanted to let you know things about these pens. So yeah, uncapped, unposted, they're actually the same length, so it might just have to do with the size of the cap. Sometimes that makes a difference in the length when they're capped. So I wanted to just tell you some things that are, you know, maybe good, maybe neutral, maybe bad, and maybe some cons also. So One thing that I love about the Stipula Etrurias is that they have a really nice grip section, in my opinion. I love this this concave grip section. They have it on the regular Etruria, and I think it's a little bit more pronounced on the Faceted Etrurias. I'm going to move this box away so that you can see the white background here. So, but the difference between the grip sections on the regular Etrurias and the faceted ones is that the threads on the regular Etrurias are up here. So if you have a grip that's close to the nib, this is going to be really comfortable. Then the threads for the cap are right here on the faceted Etruria. You know, so if you grip a little bit higher, you're not going to be gripping that. If you grip extremely low, you might be. I find both of these grip sections to be really comfortable though, just because my fingers, you know, slide to that position where it's narrowest, and I really like that grip section. Another thing that I love about the Stipula pens is obviously the materials that they use. So my favorite material is celluloid, in particular celluloid nitrate. It's made from the resin of a tree. It's a kind of a natural material. It's not being used so much anymore because it's really flammable, and the fumes when it's being produced are really dangerous. So pens these days that are called celluloid tend to be celluloid acetate, which is really a different material. They're very beautiful also. This one's a cellulose or celluloid acetate, and it's really beautiful. It's just this one is actually celluloid acetate as well, but these ones, this, those ones are all celluloid nitrate, and then these ones are cellulose acetate, and this one's a resin. So I just love the materials that they use, and that's one reason I collect these pens. I also really enjoy that they use silver trim, so that you know, a lot of other pens, the color of the trim is silver, but it's plating, and it can wear off, and then you start maybe seeing some corrosion on the trim of your pen. But these ones, you know, when they get a little darkened like this, it can be polished, and then it comes back to a nice bright silver color. One of the reasons why I prefer the faceted Etruria, besides I just love these facets, is that they come with these thin trim rings, multiple thin trim rings, and I love that look. The other ones tend to have this oak leaf pattern around them, which is Stipula's symbol. They also have these oak leaves on the clips of a lot of them, and you know, that's pretty too, but I love these trim rings. They have different models have different trim rings. Like this one has an extra little addition of these rings on the outer part of the main band, which has the leaves. This one just has that middle part, the middle band, without the extra rings on the sides. And let's see what else. You can switch the nibs on pens that have, you know, the same size nibs. This here is a small Stipula Etruria. So the Etrurias come in a number of different sizes, and when you're buying them, you always want to find out which size one you're getting. This one has actually, I think it has the same size nib. Has the same size nib, like a number 6 size nib, as the other ones. It's just a shorter pen. And so another difference between Etrurias is some of them are piston fillers, and some of them are cartridge converter filled pens. And of course the cartridge converter filled pens are lighter weight than the piston ones. This one's a piston, that one's a piston, and this one is a cartridge converter. And you notice that a lot of times with the regular style Etrurias, if it has this band near it's the piston knob, so there's like a trim ring before the piston knob, and then these ones that have cartridge converters don't have piston knobs. It's just one solid piece of material for the body of the pen. So, you know, even though these pens are the same size, this one's a lot lighter because it's got the cartridge converter. And on this particular one, it was rattling around a little bit, so I had to put some tissue paper in there to keep it from rattling. But, you know, you decide, do you like lighter weight pens or heavier weight pens? What are you going to be comfortable with? For these lighter weight ones, I tend to post them to add a little bit of weight to the back when I'm writing. And with all the ones that are piston fillers, I do not post them. Actually, this one, okay, so I'm going to tell you, these ones here are the regular style Stipula Etrurias in regular size, the larger one and the smaller one. Then these two here are the Faceted models, but even though they don't mention this when they're selling the pens, these faceted ones, some of them are a little bit thinner. Like this one, the width of it is a little bit less than this one. This one's a little bit girthier, but they don't even mention that when they're selling them. Kind of just have to see what it looks like from their pictures. And I don't really know why this is. Maybe they have like less material, like this one is the cellulose acetate and this one's the cellulose nitrate. Maybe they just didn't have enough material to make it wider, but I do also have some cellulose nitrate ones that are wider, so I don't understand why some of them are a little bit thicker. But on these faceted Etrurias, they are, all of them to my knowledge, are piston fillers, and they have a piston knob back here that, if you want it to look nice, you just line it up when you're twisting it to match the facets of the body here, and that's not a problem. The caps go on always lining up the facets. You don't have to fiddle with that. They always line up the facets of the cap and the body, so that's really nice. I just prefer the look of the faceted ones because they look a little bit less bulbous on the end. They're like a little bit narrower up there, and I love faceted pens. Okay, what else? So I find that it's very nice. It's a very nice length to use unposted, and the faceted ones cannot post. So if you like posting, don't get a faceted one. But I find the length is really good. And I prefer the ones that have the piston filler. I like that weight to the pen, but I know some people don't like heavier pens. The nibs on all of my Stipulas are fantastic. Now, I've never tried any of the titanium nibs. Because I've heard a lot of bad things about those ones. I've never tried it, so, you know, maybe some of them are okay, but I think there's quality control issues with those. I've never tried any of their steel nibs. All of mine are gold nibs, and I have tried the 18 karat ones and the 14 karat regular ones and the new 14 karat flex nibs, which I think are the best of all of the nibs. They just have a bit more bounce. I don't use them for like, you know, I don't flex them purposely when I'm writing. It's just, it gives it a little bit more bounce when I'm writing, and I really like that. It's very similar to the Omas nibs that, you know, the extra flexibile nibs. The extra flexibile Omas nibs are can be a little bit more flexible, and also I find that the Stipula flexible 14 karat nibs are not always consistent in how flexible they are. So that could be a con, because you just, maybe over time with use, they'll become more flexible, but some of them feel a little bit stiffer than others to me. Like some of my pens that have the same nib supposedly feel different. And also the line width can be different, even though like I'll have more than one 14 karat flexible medium nib, the line width can vary. So but also their italic nibs are some of the best that I have. So this is the Stipula Iris, and it's a very interesting pen because it has, the cap is this, and it's one of these ones where you twist, actually you use the cap to twist out the nib. See here, it's coming out. So it's kind of like one of those safety pens for keeping the ink from drying out. It's not really like a feature that I think is wonderful. It takes a little bit more time to, you know, use your pen when you have to deploy the nib that way, but it's kind of cool. But the best thing that I like about this is the nib, and kind of like the Pilot vanishing point, you have to hold around the clip. I don't find that to be bad. It's actually gives me a good grip on it. And so this is the Stipula Iris, and mine has a 1.3 millimeter 18 karat gold nib. And I'm sorry, my hands have been hurting me a lot lately, so it's hard for me to grip any pen, but this one's actually a little bit easier because of how I can hold on to the clip, have my fingers on either side of the clip. But the this nib is kind of bouncy, and if you put more pressure on it, you get some line variation. And the Stipula nibs are extremely similar to Bexley nibs, if you've ever tried those. They're actually interchangeable. They're the same shape. They have a lot of the same feeling when you use them. So when you want to put the nib back in, twist it back in, and put the cap on like that. It's a very interesting pen. And this one is the Stipula Suprema. It has a nice big ink window there, and this one, a lot of the Supremas were just resin bodies, but this one is the Ombre celluloid, which I really love. Has a very similar clip to the Tibaldi and Piro, and this one I also do like to post. The grip section is not as concave as the other ones, but this one I have a italic nib on also, and it's very, very nice. Stipula Suprema, and this one is actually this one I believe was a 1.1, and this one is a 1.3, but there's really not a whole lot of difference. And this one's 1.3, I think that's 18 karat, yeah, 18 karat gold. So 1.3 millimeter, 18 karat, sorry about my handwriting. And the thing I love about all the Stipula nibs is that they have a little bit of bounce. And even if you get the non-flexible ones, they have a little bit of bounce, and I love that. Okay, and then the final model of pen that I have here is the Isola, which means island, and the color that they call their celluloids on different models. Even if it's the same celluloid, they have different names for it for different models, and on this it's called the Lipari, which is one island in Italy, and they had a whole series of these Isolas with different materials named after different islands. So I have some other pens with this material from Stipula where they call it Champagne. It's also been called Havana Brown, and I think there's another one, another name for this material that I'm not thinking of right now. Isola, I think it is. And this one I like to post, kind of a small pen. It has the best fine nib in my collection, probably. This is a fine 18 karat gold nib. It's very smooth and wet. Stipula, Isola, Lipari. I don't really know what's wrong with my hands, but sometimes it makes it very hard to have nice handwriting. And this is fine 18 karat. I think it's just like when my arm is at different angles when I'm writing, it really affects my handwriting. So, you know, when I'm at a table that's the right height, it really helps, but this tray table is not at an ideal height for me. So Stipula has some other models of pens that I don't have, but those are the ones that I have in my collection. Let's see, what else did I want to talk about? So the flow of the pens is very nice. Bounciness of the nib is very nice. Nice wet flow. What else? So these, the clips on them are made, they're cast, so they have irregularities. So that's one thing that sometimes bothers me a little bit, is that not all the clips, the details don't always show up as much in some of them. The shape is not always perfectly symmetrical. So that kind of bothers me sometimes. Sometimes, like this one seems to be going off at a tiny bit of an angle. If you're not, you know, really particular, that's probably not going to bother you, but sometimes it bothers me that they don't all look exactly the same. So another downside is the price. They're expensive pens. Another downside is their availability. So these pens are made in Italy, and they're kind of hard to buy from a US distributor. Sometimes Chatterley Luxuries has them. They've commissioned a lot of pens, so a lot of the pens are made in extremely short runs, like sometimes only 18 of a certain color are made. And so like only one store will carry that particular color sometimes. So that can make it really hard to get one of these pens. And another US distributor of Stipula pens is Dromgools in Texas. But I'm not sure. I mean, I know Goulet has like maybe a couple Stipulas, but it's hard to find the faceted ones, especially. I think Chatterley is the only one in the US that I've seen selling the Faceted Etrurias. But you can get them from companies in Italy, of course. The one that I would recommend is novelli.it. Marco there responds, he owns the company, and he responds to emails really quickly. The only strange thing about buying from his website is sometimes he doesn't actually list the price of the pens, so you have to like send an inquiry to him and he'll respond right away as to the price of the pen. But I think that's a little bit of an odd way to sell pens. But Novelli also has like a lot of their own special editions of their own colors that only they are selling. And Giardino Italiano. I've never bought pens from them, but they have some Stipula Faceted Etrurias and other Stipula pens. And then Cult Pens, which I think is in England, sells them. And Pen Venture sells them, but I don't recommend Pen Venture. I had a bad experience with that company, and I don't purchase pens from them anymore. So, you know, it can kind of be hard when a certain company is the only one that carries that color of pen, so you don't really have a choice who you buy it from if you want that specific color. But I really recommend Novelli. I did have some hard times in the past, even when the company says that they carry that pen. Sometimes they say it's like you have to order it and then you have to wait for it to be delivered from Stipula to the company that you purchased it from, and then they send it to you. And I've had two experiences, one with Novelli and one with Cult Pens, where I ordered a pen, I paid for it, and then I just waited and waited for like a month or more, and they never got the pen from Stipula to send it to me. Like, for some reason, Stipula is not fulfilling their orders. And after a while, they just refunded my money, and I never got the pen that I ordered. So that's one negative thing about Stipula, is for some reason they don't like fulfill the orders sometimes. I guess maybe the last thing that I wanted to talk about is some of the piston fillers fill by twisting to the right, and some fill by twisting to the left, and I find that to be confusing. It's hard for me to remember which pens are supposed to fill in what direction. So yeah, I think maybe that is all I had to say. I know it was a lot of information, maybe a kind of haphazard presentation, but I hope you enjoyed it. Of course, if you have any questions, put them in the comments. And I really encourage you to try Stipula. I'm kind of surprised that more people haven't tried Stipula. It's probably because of the price, though. I understand that. But I find that these are some of my favorite pens in my collection. All right. Thanks, pen friends, and I'll see you later. Bye!